If you guys are like me, you've probably heard that meat stops absorbing smoke at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. You may have heard 145, 150, up to 165, but somewhere in that range. Today, we're gonna test it and see if it's true, partially true, or completely untrue. Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today we're going to be doing some testing. I love these testing videos because at the end I always feel like I learned something. Maybe it wasn't what I thought I was going to learn, but the way we're going to set this up today is I'm going to cook 3 briskets. So this is going to be a relatively expensive test. But one brisket we're going to put in the oven, take it to 140 degrees, the kind of the low end of the numbers you hear. Another brisket we're going to put in the oven, take to 165 degrees, which is kind of the top end of the numbers you hear. And then I'm going to take a raw, completely uncooked brisket, and I'm going to put all 3 of them on the Evolution smoker behind me from Superior Smokers. We're going to cook them for the same amount of time on the smoke and see how different the smoke flavor is in the final product. So we should know an answer to, does it stop absorbing smoke above 140 or 165? And if it doesn't, how much smoke does it really absorb? That answer is going to be subjective, of course, but it'll give you some insight into what really makes a difference while you're cooking at home. Can you just throw it in the oven and be done with it? Or do you need to leave it on the smoke to get that bark and smoke flavor just the way you want it? Let's find out. I'm gonna get some briskets. I'm gonna start trimming a couple. 2 are gonna go directly in the oven. And then 1 is going to start its journey in the smoker. But when that 3rd brisket starts its journey in the smoker, the 2 that have been in the oven are also gonna go on the pit at the same time. We're gonna be monitoring those temperatures with the RFX wireless meat thermometer. It's gonna work through 1/4-inch thick steel. It's gonna work through the oven. You can put them in a pressure cooker. We're gonna season with just salt and pepper. That's 50-50 by volume Diamond Crystal Kosher salt and 16 mesh black pepper. I'm gonna keep the seasoning extremely simple today because we don't want any extra confounding factors. We're not doing these experiments in a lab, so I have to do whatever I can to keep things as controlled as possible. And one of those ways is by keeping the seasoning simple. Plus, I just like salt and pepper. So let's get those briskets and start trimming. So these briskets are all within about 1.5 pounds of each other, and some people are gonna say, well, you can't trust the results of this experiment because every brisket is different. True. I'm not going to dispute that. Every brisket is a little bit different. The diet that the animals ate are going to be a little bit different. The exact size, the exact thickness, all those things are variable. But I don't think, number 1, it's going to affect the smoke flavor that much. And number 2, in order to get the results that you're after, I would have to cook, hundreds, if not thousands of briskets before I could have any kind of meaningful result, because they are different, but we're dealing with an imperfect science here in barbecue, and I'm going to do the best I can with kind of the resources I have available. Erica just asked me what my hypothesis is, and I'll say that I used to think that it was just totally true that meat stops absorbing smoke past 145 degrees Fahrenheit, because that was the received wisdom that had come down. I thought it was just true. But after cooking a lot of briskets and pork butts and ribs and all kinds of stuff in a smoker, I don't think it's true. Maybe it is true, but I don't think it's true. One thing I know for certain, at the Open Fire meetup in Texas, we were cooking a bunch of briskets and they came out and they were beautiful. And we said, all right, we're gonna put them in this rotisserie that uses an all-wood fire, and we're gonna use that as our warmer. So we loaded the thing up with just an obscene amount of wood, and we left. And it was just cranking out all this horrible, like creosote-laden, just disgusting smoke because we way overloaded it with wood. And when we got back, even though the briskets had been wrapped in paper, they still had a bitter, acrid taste to them. So they can't absorb that horrible smoke. I wouldn't ever suggest cooking like that. That was our mistake. But it definitely got some smoke flavor past 140 degrees or 165 degrees that most people usually associate with meat no longer absorbing smoke. So that gave me the idea. I want to test this. I want to find out. These briskets are prime. They're Greater Omaha. And they're a little bit funny shaped, but they all are. So let me get these trimmed up, get them seasoned. We'll put these in the oven. Shout out to Cooper at Bar A for teaching me how he uses a slicing knife to trim briskets. It's actually a lot easier. Also, my buddy Chris Stafford from Lone Mountain Barbecue does the same thing. And I think once you try it, you're not going to go back. Got a little bit of a gash here, but probably best just to leave it. So I'm gonna take these inside, put a thermometer in them, put them in the oven. All right, guys, we are in a place we almost never are. We're in the kitchen, not in the backyard, and I'm about to put some briskets in the oven. And they're not wrapped, they're completely raw, straight out of the fridge, just trimmed and seasoned. So that's a little weird. But to monitor the temperatures while they're in the oven, I have these ThermoWorks RFX wireless meat probes. So I have one with a blue band around it, another with a red band, because in the app, I can distinguish which one is which. So at a glance, I can see, oh, it looks like red is at 165, time to pull that out. And then I open the oven, I look for this red, take it out, done. So I'll talk more about this in a minute, exactly how we're gonna be using it, but let's get these in the briskets and get those briskets in the oven. Okay, let me slide this in. First brisket in. Feels so wrong. So we're out here to get the smoker prepped. We have the great probe that's connected to the RFX here. One of the issues you run into with a lot of those probes that try to give you the internal meat temperature and the ambient temperature is because those probes are made of metal, they conduct heat energy. So you're always getting a skewed reading. Now, there's some algorithms that kind of try to counteract that, but they're never truly reliable. With the RFX system, you're always getting a real reading, not just an approximation based on an algorithm, which some companies don't tell you about, but just know with this probe, you're actually getting real readings, never an extrapolation. All right, we got the great probe set up. The RFX gateway is right there, so it's still communicating with the probes inside. And I want to thank ThermoWorks for sponsoring today's video. I've been waiting for years for this product to come out because I've used competitive products in the past and they wouldn't really connect well through 1/4 inch thick offset smokers, which is what I like to use. And the reason that these RFX probes can go through 1/4 inch thick steel, and right now this gateway is communicating with the probes that I have inside, behind a brick wall, inside an oven, is because these probes use 433 megahertz to communicate, whereas most probes use 2.4 gigahertz. 2.4 gigahertz is 2.4 billion cycles per second, whereas this is 433 million. That might not sound like a huge difference, but it makes an enormous difference. This system uses longer wavelengths, lower frequency, because the typical 2.4 gigahertz is a higher frequency, shorter wavelength that can be attenuated when you encounter something like the 1/4 inch thick steel of an offset smoker, or it's inside a pressure cooker, or it's inside an oven, or something like that. These communicate through those barriers much better than a lot of those competitive products. And so I'm thrilled to be using these. I want to thank ThermoWorks again for sponsoring today's video. It's a company I've been using for years and years and years. You always see me with the ThermoPen in my pocket. The ThermoPen 1 I use all the time. Anytime I'm doing any kind of remote monitoring of stuff, always the RFX wireless. It's one of the products that I've been waiting for, and it really delivers on exactly what was promised. And just for you guys to know, these gateways, you can have more than 50 probes. You can be monitoring a ton of stuff all at once. And if you're over a huge expansive distance, you can even get multiple gateways and it will all communicate to your phone. Right now, the two briskets inside, one is 55.8 degrees Fahrenheit, one is 53.3 degrees Fahrenheit. The ambient temperature out here is still 68 degrees. We'll probably check back in with you in a couple of hours once those briskets are 140 and 165. At that point, we're gonna put all three briskets on the smoker so they have the exact same environment and the exact same amount of time on the smoke, hopefully. But we'll see you in a couple hours. All right, I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible so we kind of maintain these temperatures. This one is at 140, I think maybe 141 right now. We took it to 140 and then held it there. This one just got to 165, and we're gonna put that in there. And then this one is straight out of the fridge, seasoned with salt and pepper. We're gonna put all three on. This one I'm gonna put in the middle because it seems fair, because if we put it in the front and we get different results, maybe people will point to that. If we put it in the back and we get different results, maybe folks would point to that. But I'm going to put it in between these two. I'm going to put all three on the Superior Smokers Evolution. And last thing, one more probe, this one with the green ring, so that I can monitor this temperature too. So these are all going to spend the exact same amount of time on the smoke, but we're not trying to make perfect briskets here. We're trying to answer a question. So we'll probably leave these on the smoke for somewhere between 4 and 6 hours when I really think there's good smoke flavor on there. And then we'll take them all, put them all in the oven, wrapped, and finish them, take them to the same temperature to be finished. And then tomorrow morning, we're gonna test them out. And we're keeping track of all of them with these rings. Number 2. And then number 3, we'll put right there. Right now, we have the one brisket at 141.9. This one dropped to 163.6. It was higher like 10 seconds ago. And then we have this one we put in the cold brisket. It's 45 degrees, and the temperature of the pit, we just had it open, is 155.6. We will continue to monitor, and I can kind of show you the graphs because it has a graph function here. So if we look at the graph of the brisket that went up to 165, that's kind of what it looked like. We'll continue to monitor this. Let me get this fire right. Let me get the damper ready. And we're gonna let these things cruise, probably 225 and smoky for a couple hours, and then we'll bump it up some. Like I said, I'm not trying to make the world's greatest brisket. I'm trying to answer a question. Normally I would smoke a brisket for something like maybe 8 hours before it gets wrapped. Maybe 9, maybe 10, maybe 6. I don't know, but we probably won't do that tonight, because if I do that with the ones that are already at high temperatures, I think they're gonna be overcooked. And so what I want to do to be fair in this test is keep them on the smoker for the exact same amount of time. When it looks decent, then we're gonna throw them in the oven, and then we're gonna evaluate that smoke flavor tomorrow. Alright guys, it's been several hours. I just realized also that I forgot to tell you how long these 2 briskets took in the oven earlier. The one to get to 140 only took about 2 hours and 45 minutes. The one that went to 165 really started slowing down once we got past about 155 degrees, and that took over 5 hours to get to 165. So, at this point, you can see we got 3 briskets back here. They're actually starting to look pretty nice. The one in the middle is the one that started off raw, and you can see it definitely has a different look, kind of a dark red. And I'd usually take it for another couple of hours before wrapping, but I'm gonna wrap them all now. And here's why. The one that went to 165 is done. Gotta stop cooking it, it's gotta be done. And so in order to keep the amount of smoke on all 3 briskets exactly the same, I'm gonna wrap that one, wrap the other 2, and take those to tenderness. And then I'm just gonna use the same probes. I'm gonna take them out, stuff them back in through the paper, and that way I can keep track of which brisket is which. We won't be concerned, was this the one that was to 140? Was this the one to 170 or 165? Was this the one that went on raw? So, wrapped in butcher paper, nothing else inside. The 2 that are not yet finished are gonna go in the oven, and that's about it. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's actually very early in the morning right now, and I have not yet slept. So, let me get these done so I can go to bed. First up, the 165 brisket. Looks pretty gnarly. Smells maybe a tiny bit smoky, not super smoky though. This is the one that went to 140 in the oven and it looked significantly better. It does smell a little bit smoky, so we shall see. This is the one that went on completely raw. The color is starting to get nice. We still haven't rendered the fat as well as I would like, but this one smells really smoky. Let's get this wrapped up, I guess. Should have another couple hours. It feels wrong, but oh well. Here we go. All right, we're gonna take all 3 of these in. We're gonna put 2 in the oven. We'll see you guys in the morning. All right, guys, it's the next day. We took them all to a finished temperature, and we're gonna unwrap them and taste them. And normally, I would love to do a blind taste test, but under these circumstances, I don't think that's the best move. What I wanna do is I wanna start with the one that will presumably have the least amount of smoke flavor, then slightly more, then slightly more, because if I taste one that has loads of smoke flavor and then one that's kind of faint, I might not pick it up at all. I'm also gonna have my wife taste test it because she has, I don't know, a crazy palate. Like if I chew big red gum in the morning, in the evening, she'll be like, I smell cinnamon. So we're gonna start with the one that was 165 in the oven, then went on the smoker. And these rings help me keep track. So gonna pull these out. By the way, if you guys are interested in the RFX right now, 20% off. Link in the description. Not bad. Look at this thing, man. So here, it actually got fairly dark. We have some parts of the fat that look like it's rendered decently well, but hasn't taken on that really dark color. So we'll take a look at a slice, and then we're gonna taste it. Because this isn't about making a perfect brisket. This is about testing when they stop absorbing smoke. So let's get a slice out of here. I gotta say, this actually looks remarkably good. The fat's not rendered great, but it's fine. The underside, a little washed out. And shock of all shocks, what do we have here? You see that kind of faint pink smoke ring? Was not expecting that at all. So figure that one out, because I can't. All right, I'm gonna taste test a chunk here. This is 165. I'm definitely getting smoke flavor. Not super strong, but definitely getting smoke flavor. It's definitely there. Erica, you want to try a piece?
Yeah. I definitely get smoke.
Yeah, I mean,
It is faint.
it's faint. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this maybe 3.5.
I was gonna say 3.
Yeah, so it's definitely there. Not to cast shade at any pellet grills, but about like a pellet grill.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm glad we got married. Okay, this is actually a pretty good brisket. So that's 165. Verdict is in. Smoke flavor, 3 out of 10. Let's move on to 140 in the oven. I think this will have a little bit more. It might have exactly the same. It could have less for some crazy reason. Oh, look at this guy. Definitely a lot more liquid in the wrap there. The fat seems like it's rendered decently well. Let's take another slice here from the flat. Again, we have a smoke ring. It looks a little darker. So if we compare these, here we have the brisket that went to 165 in the oven, and here we have the brisket that went to 140. This looks just a shade darker, but not a ton. We're also getting some color on the sides, but on the 165 brisket, we didn't really get any color on the sides. I'm talking about the pink smoke ring. So there are some differences. Let's see how it tastes. It's good. Actually, I think it's less smoky.
I think it's less smoky.
All right, after doing some tasting, I think the 140 in the oven brisket was actually a little bit less smoky than the one that went to 165. I mean, they're pretty close. They're both not super powerful in terms of smoke flavor. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's because I had that one first, and the first bite of smoked food is going to taste smokier than the second bite and so on. But no, the one that went to 140 is maybe 2.5, 3 out of 10 in terms of smoke flavor. It's there, it's just not very pronounced. So I don't know how to reconcile that, but those are the results that I got on the specific day that I was cooking with the specific briskets that I had with the specific wood that I was using. So your results might vary, but these are definitely a lot less smoky than what I'm typically used to. And Erica also thinks the same thing. Let's start with the one that went into the smoker when it was raw and see how this smoke flavor compares. And I kept track of these the entire time with these silicone bands, so I know for certain which one was which, because I thought, maybe did I make a mistake? And then no, because I removed it, wrapped it, put it back in. So those have stayed with it the whole time. And this one is also going to be pretty liquidy. Oh, thought maybe this one tasted less smoky because there was so much liquid water in the wrap. Maybe it somehow kind of washed it away. That could explain the difference. You guys saw when it went in, no tallow, no nothing. Yeah. All right, this one, it got wrapped a little early, but we have nice dark color on it. So let's cut another slice of flat. So that one looks pretty good. If we compare to 140 brisket, this looks a little darker. If we compare that to the 165 brisket, just tear off a chunk. So we have 165 in the oven, 140 in the oven, went into the smoker raw. This is definitely the darkest smoke ring. It's also the biggest smoke ring. I don't really care what it looks like so much as I want to see how it tastes. Brisket that started smoking at 41 degrees.
That one has the most smoke.
Okay, the one that went into the smoker raw definitely has the most smoke flavor, probably 7.5 out of 10. And this should have gone for probably 3 more hours. But to do the test fairly, we had to leave them in for the exact same amount of time. And we went back and tasted the one that was in the oven until 140, the one that was in the oven until 165. And the higher the temperature that it went in the oven, the less smoke flavor. So after tasting this one, and then I taste the one that we tasted first, the one that was 165 in the oven, tastes like a roast. I can't taste any smoke on it at all. The second one, same kind of thing. The one that went to 140, that is, searching for smoke flavor. And then you take a bite of this and you're like, oh, this still has smoke flavor. So I'm really glad I tasted them in the order that I did. I went back through and tested each sample again and again, doing multiple bites of each, going back and forth. And the difference that I thought I could taste between the one that went to 140 and the one that went to 165 in the oven, I can't really taste. They kind of taste the same. I mean, one bite might taste a little smokier for one, and then it'll taste less smoky if I try it again. So they're pretty comparable, pretty low in smoke flavor, something around a 3, maybe a 3.5 for smokier bites, maybe a 2.5 for less smoky bites. I'd be hard pressed to distinguish these, at least after trying this way smokier brisket. So it's possible that the one at 140 was less smoky than the one at 165, but without question, the one that went on raw has the most smoke flavor. So a few takeaways. One, meat does not stop absorbing smoke flavor at 140 or at 165. Number two, it definitely absorbs way more smoke flavor at lower temperatures. And number three, kind of something I learned at the Open Fire Meetup, make sure that you're managing your fire even after your brisket has reached a certain temp. Even if it's already gone to 200 and it's completely done and you're trying to use a warmer, yeah, don't do that. Make sure that you have smoke around your food that you're always comfortable with. So really bad smoke can ruin a great brisket cook even after it reaches 165 degrees. So I think today I learned something, have a little bit more information, and now you guys have more tools in your arsenal to make the kind of backyard barbecue that you want. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on all social media at MadScientistBBQ, and check out the link in the description if you want to get 20% off an RFX wireless set. I'll see you guys next time.